Welcome to a Community Partners interview where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Davy, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio. All abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Brook, Gardner, the Director of Operations and Continuous Improvement for Woodview Mental Health and Autism Services. Woodview offers several services and supports for children and youth facing mental health challenges and those diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder or ASD. They also work in partnership with families who play an important role in their services. They also work with schools and social services agencies to support children and youth and their families. Thanks for joining us today, Brook.
Thank you, Davy.
Now, to begin, for our listeners who have been with us for a while, or for those of us just joining us for the first time, how about you give us a little insight into you, Brook, and what inspired you to work for Woodview and with individuals with disabilities?
Sure, yeah. Well, I've worked with Woodview now. This is actually my 20th year with the organization. I've always enjoyed working with youth, whether it's through athletic or youth programming. And Woodview has always seemed to be a very good cultural fit for me. And I've been really pleased to work with the organization for this many years in various locations and with various job titles and responsibilities.
Well, absolutely, and congratulations on that 20th.
Thank you. Yes, it's a long time.
Absolutely, but hey, you love what you do, and that passion shows. So thank you for that as well. Now, that being said, in preparing for our conversation today, I was doing a little digging into your website and other sources of that nature, and I gotta say, what I found absolutely floored me. I was taken away. There were so many things that we could talk about, but namely the stuff that I'd love to ask you about today include the early entry to school and caregiver mediated early years service, as well as the LEAP preschool webinars as well, and even autism services. So do you think that you could give us a little insight into each of those?
Sure, yeah. Well, what you're speaking of are some of the various offerings that we have in our autism services, specifically in our Halton area, our Halton region, some of which is in partnership with some of our community partners. And so you're speaking really of a variety of different programs, working with the ones that you mentioned, typically children, and sometimes very early age children, to help develop social skills, communication skills, play skills, and whether that's to learn new skills that may have not been developed to date, but also to help them with some of those challenging transitions, like entering school for the first time, that all children may find challenging and is one of those milestones that we all hope our children will be able to be successful with. And so these programs, in many cases, are just designed to help support individuals that may be lacking or yet to learn some social and communication skills and strategies, and help prepare them for some of these transitions, whether it is school or other community type structured events.
Absolutely. And of course, that's absolutely important. That being said, in terms of where these programs are offered, in preparing sort of in our preamble before our conversation today, you said you were based out of your Brantford office today. But I also noticed that you also have something called the Woodview Learning Center. Now, what's that? Where is it, and what's that? And what's it all about?
Yeah, and so our Woodview Learning Center, again, is part of our Halton spectrum of services. And the Learning Center is actually a school located in Waterdown, or on Waterdown Road in Halton. And it's a school specially designed for individuals with autism spectrum disorder. So we have a variety of age groups that attend our private school year round, or at least during the school year. It's been around for many years. We've seen it grow over the years as families and the children and youth that participate in the program find the value and benefit of the comprehensive services that are available within that school. And so we're really proud of it. It's as I mentioned, it's grown over the years. It's very popular right now, and something that we're really happy to offer for our families in the Halton area.
Of course. And now, in terms of offering these services to these families and to their children and to these youths in the area, what's the process like when it comes to determining what supports or resources are required or needed for those who ask for them?
You mean like in terms of an individual, or where our services are located?
Well, either or. You could speak to either or.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of our services have evolved over time. We offer services in the Brantford, Halton, and Hamilton communities. And in all three areas, our services have been often dictated by responding to gaps or needs within a community. And so because of that, they look very different in each community. And so we've spent a bit of time talking about our Halton autism services. And in the Halton area, we also offer a range of services for children and youth with mental health. And some of that is in partnership with other children and youth mental health agencies. And so, depending on whether it's autism or mental health, there may be different access points. And you can always use our website at woodview.ca to help navigate those. In Brantford, we are the lead agency for children and youth mental health. So we offer a very comprehensive range of services in mental health for, again, predominantly children and youth and their families under the age of 18. But we also offer some autism services in our Brantford area as well. And then finally, in our Hamilton area, it's very unique in terms of Woodview and what we offer, in that it's the only part of Woodview that offers services to adults with autism spectrum disorder. And so we have semi-independent living, we have day programs. We also offer children and youth teen groups and transition to high school groups. But our focus has really been serving the adult ASD population in the Hamilton area. And so as you can see, depending on where you live and where you're trying to access services, Woodview has a variety of different options depending on the area that you're looking at.
Of course. And in terms of accessing these the services at Woodview, or even just being part of the organization itself, are there any restrictions of any kind that could stop one from doing so? Say a disability type, caregivers, things of that nature, anything like that?
Well, yeah, our philosophy is certainly one of inclusion, and we do everything we can to try and make our services accessible and relevant to anybody that's interested in our services. However, of course, there's mandates sometimes dependent on funding. So many of our services may be funded from the Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Community and Children's Services. And so some of those have age mandates that are attached. And then we have other programs that may be non-ministry funded or fee for service. And of course, if we're offering groups, things that we want to make sure that the individuals that are participating in our programs are correctly matched with the type of interventions or services that we're able to provide. So we do a lot of work getting to know children, youth, and their families, identifying what their strengths are, what their interests and goals are in terms of attending our services, and then hopefully try to match those with the things that we offer. And if that's not possible, because we may not offer the services that they're looking for, we certainly spend a lot of time trying to help those families access services with one of our partner organizations or our friends in the community, to make sure that that's as seamless as possible and they don't have to, start calling around and trying to shop for services. We try to assist that whenever possible.
Of course. And on the note of being able to sort of match what's needed to the person themselves, without naming any names, are there any sort of success stories that you could share with us today about, say, what happened after the fact when, say, a person was matched to the services they needed? Anything like that?
Yeah, I think we do a lot of work at Woodview in terms of trying to get feedback, quality information from the families and the youth that participate in our programs. And so we're fortunate that by doing that and asking for feedback, we often are the recipients of a lot of really fantastic stories about whether it's a child, maybe attending their first camp. Often children may have a difficult time attending camps in the community. And so if Woodview or agencies like ours are able to offer specialized programming during the summer, it may give a child an opportunity to attend something with their peers that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have been able to. And all the way through to, teens that are struggling maybe with depression or anxiety and attending one of our groups or one of our counseling programs, may be able to participate in things like school activities or participate in community activities that maybe they didn't feel comfortable or safe doing in the past, and are able to thrive now that they've maybe learned some skills or strategies to manage some of the things that they're experiencing on their day-to-day life. So we love our youth engagement. We love our family engagement. We work really hard to empower the youth and the families that we work with. And by doing that, I think we're fortunate and grateful to often hear stories of success that make our staff and our programs very proud of the work that we do.
Absolutely. And with that engagement and even and even that participation, be it both on the child or the youth or the family's part, or even on the part of you and the rest of Woodview. One would think that with all the connections that you've made and with whatnot with the families and even with partner organizations, as you've mentioned, you would think that there are events that you would be able that you would be part of. Correct? In that case, on the note of events, are there any events coming up that Woodview will be taking part in or helping to sort of host?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure of the air date. I know right now we're taping during Mental Health Week. And so for if this is being aired at a later date for future reference, Mental Health Week is this week in May that, especially in our Brantford community, Woodview has taken kind of a co-lead with our partners at CMHA to offer a variety of different events throughout the community for all different ages related to mental health wellness and reducing stigma. And so it's a really fantastic week. We do celebrate other activities in our community as well. And of note, for the fall this year, Woodview actually has been around for 65 years in various forms. And so we are really proud to celebrate our 65th year. And this year, we're going to be offering our first walk and roll for Woodview event, which is a combination of family activities and opportunities to listen to music and have snacks and learn more about our services. And that's going to be on Wednesday, October 1st at Ancaster Fairgrounds. So that'll be a first of its kind for Woodview. And we're always proud of the heritage that we have in the communities that we serve. And 65 years is certainly something that we're really eager to celebrate. So that'll be a community event that people can find out more about as it comes closer. Through our website, but that'll be an event that's free for all to come in and enjoy and participate in.
Absolutely. And now pivoting off of the events and whatnot for just a moment, I'd like to ask you my favorite question, a question that I ask every single one of our guests on the show. And that question is, in your opinion, what is one thing you see happening repeatedly to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be, and how do we collectively go about stopping it?
Well, that's an interesting question. One of the things that comes to mind initially is whether we would call them maybe hidden disabilities or things that are being experienced by individuals that may not be overt or very visible to other individuals in the community. And I think whether it's judgment or bias or discrimination in some cases, individuals often have a tough time navigating our communities because individuals within the communities may not be aware of some of the things that our communities are experiencing or living through. And so we work hard, whether it's reducing stigma around mental health or reducing awareness of other disabilities or communication deficits that individuals, and specifically children and youth in many cases, may be experiencing. And so we do, as an example, a lot of work with schools in our community to help teachers and administrators understand a little bit more about the nuances of things like autism and mental health for children and youth, so that interactions in the school environment may be a little bit more inclusive and accessible for students than they may have been otherwise. So I'm sure there's lots of challenges and setbacks that the individuals and families that we work with experience. But I think it's a very insightful question. And my initial thought was that some of those things that are not as visible on the surface, but maybe very important and experienced by the individuals that we work with.
And all built around the sort of notion that you were mentioning of raising that awareness or just broadening that understanding. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so critical that people in our community understand what others may be experiencing, and whether that's through empathy and understanding what it's like to walk in somebody else's shoes, or just simply, I think most people inherently want to help and want to know how to help. And so the more awareness and understanding that we can help share about the individuals and families that are accessing our services and the types of things that they're experiencing, I think the more likely it is that those in our community will be more willing and able to help and assist them in their journey.
Absolutely. And now, if our listeners out there are fit the sort of sort of profile that that Woodview caters to, if they are looking for more information, if they are looking for that extra bit of help, that extra bit of guidance on their journey, or to take part in any events or be part of any of the services that you offer or have, how can they find you? How can they reach you?
I think the two easiest ways, hopefully for most folks, um, is one through our social media channels, whether that's Facebook or Instagram, and the things of those nature. And the address for that is at Woodview, MHAS. And as well, additionally, our website has, as you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, lots of information to explore. That's woodview.ca. And there's lots of information about upcoming events, stories about who we are, our role in our communities, our mission, vision, and values, and information about all the different services that we offer in our different locations. So I think in terms of trying to understand a little bit about Woodview in the three communities that we serve, I think our social media and our website are probably the easiest ways to begin to find out more information.
Of course. And with that, Brooke, thank you so much for joining us today to have this conversation. It was a pleasure having you, and it was an even greater pleasure to learn about all that you offer with Woodview and all that you do.
Well, we at Woodview appreciate the opportunity to let folks know a little bit more about us and our services. And I appreciate the invitation, and it was a pleasure to have this conversation with you, Davy.
Well, it doesn't have to end, Brooke. I mean, we could always have you back again for a future segment, you know?
That sounds good. Anytime.
Absolutely. That's absolutely fantastic to hear. And with that, everyone, we've reached the end of yet another amazing interview segment. You're listening to Community Partners, presented by Voices for Ability Radio. All abilities, all the time. I'm your host, Davy O. Be safe, be kind, and I'll see you all next time.